Hi students, welcome back to geology. This time we are going to start looking at the physical properties of minerals. And to start off, we're going to look at what we can see in a mineral. What observations can we make without doing running any tests or breaking it or anything like that? So what can we see? So first off, the physical properties of a mineral. The most diagnostic are on the top, and then some minerals have some specialized properties as well. So the most diagnostic properties that we see in minerals are color, luster, streak, crystal form, cleavage, fracture, hardness, and specific gravity. And then we'll go through some of those in this video, and then the rest of them are covered in the second video. Other diagnostic properties we might see are magnetism, fluorescence, smell, taste, feel, striations, double refraction, or reaction to acid. All right, so let's start with color. Color is usually the first thing that somebody notices about a mineral. We look at a mineral and we go, okay, well, maybe it's purple. So I actually have one right here that's purple. Okay, it's very similar to the one in the picture there. So this is amethyst, and amethyst comes in purple, and it's a variation of quartz. Okay, but we also have other minerals that look very similar in their color. Maybe not their shape, maybe not the way they break, maybe not all of these other properties. But color oftentimes is not a good indicator that you are looking at a specific mineral. So, as you go through your lab and you're working through this material, I want you to really keep color in the back of your mind, because sometimes there are some situations where it helps, but a lot of times it's really hard to use as a definitive identification factor. So, for example, here are three different minerals. On the left is fluorite, the middle is beryl, and on the right is quartz. But if I told you I was looking at the purple one and I know that it's fluorite, well, how do we know it's not amethyst, like the one I just showed you? Or some other mineral that I don't have an example of in front of you right now. There's tourmaline that kind of has a purple color to it. That's not going to be helpful. So we want to use color with caution, but it's our technically least useful mineral property, even though it's the first thing you usually see. So we can note it, but we're not going to use it as a definitive property. We can use luster though. Luster is the way that a mineral reflects light. So when you rotate the mineral in light, what is it doing? Does it look like it's metallic? Does it look like it's non-metallic? Maybe it's dull or earthy, or maybe it's glassy. Okay, so the first thing you want to ask yourself, does it look like metal? So it's either metallic or non-metallic. So there's some examples there. The metallics are like pyrite, galena, magnetite's also an example, graphite's an example. So those are your metallic minerals. Your non-metallic minerals might be glassy, like quartz, dull, like kaolinite, waxy, like talc, and then pearly, like gypsum. Okay, so there's some definitions there. If it's dull, it doesn't really have a reflective surface. If it's earthy, it looks like dirt or dried mud. Okay, so kind of read through those different definitions, but mostly they're kind of intuitive, right? If it's waxy, it looks like wax. If it's glassy, it reflects light like glass. So keep some of those things in mind. I won't really emphasize submetallic because it is it's a really difficult mineral luster type to identify. So I don't emphasize it, but I put it out there so that you know that it exists. It is something that is slightly metallic, but it's not very well defined as metallic. It's not an obvious metallic. So I find that very confusing for students. So I put it out there, but you won't necessarily be tested on something that's submetallic. All right, then crystal form is the way that a mineral will grow or form in nature. So this is going to be in some sort of a geode. We need an open air space. If it's forming in a rock, it's going to run into other minerals while it's growing, and you won't preserve crystal form. And so this is the way that the mineral will grow. And once it's broken, the crystal form is gone. So if you break those quartz crystals, they won't look like prisms anymore. Okay, so there's some common crystal forms: cube, octahedron, rhomb, dodecahedron, pyritohedron, prism. Okay, here are some other examples of what that looks like. Sometimes if we don't have a geometry word to describe, We've got some special word that geologists have come up with, like mammillary, to describe malachite, which is the green one there. Yeah, and so once the mineral breaks, which we'll talk about in the next video, all of the crystal form is gone. All right, and the last thing that we can see without doing any real tests is the color of the mineral in powder form. So that's called streak. So we can run a test, but it also comes off on your fingers sometimes. So that's why it's kind of an iffy. Is it a test? Is it not a test? But in lab, we would have something like a streak plate, which is that white porcelain plate on the right. You would take the mineral and streak it across and record what the color is. And the color can give you an indication of which mineral you're looking at. Each mineral will have its own unique streak color, and the ones that are clear or glassy, a lot of those are going to be white to colorless, and so we're not necessarily going to see those. So we're going to emphasize on the metallics where we can actually see the color on the porcelain plate. All right, some final thoughts I want you to write down in your notes. Why is streak often more reliable than color for identifying a mineral? All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.